All right. All right, Albie. So this has been a bizarre day. A bizarre day.
Are you sure you're just not hallucinating because you're sick?
No, man, it's been bizarre. This has been a bizarre day. Let's start with the union thugs have done what they promised. This guy is too good.
Yeah. Did you see what I sent us about him?
That he makes $800,000 a year and he's got boats and stuff, and he's been indicted or almost like court. He's exactly.
Yeah. The reason he got let off on RICO charges is because the star witness against him, this mobster Lawrence Ritchie, disappeared and was found in the trunk of a car outside a New Jersey diner weeks later. The killing is still unsolved.
Yes, that's right. There were 70 witnesses who didn't see a thing. Yeah, we are not surprised about Harold Daggett whatsoever. Now he's in full strike now.
Julie Sue has been terrific. She's knocking down doors. She's trying to stop this. She's trying to get us to a media where we can have a fair negotiations. It's the companies that don't want to. They don't want to sit here and be fair. So that's why we're out here fighting for our livelihood.
What more from the automation do you want? What more protections could there be?
What more?
Yeah, they have language in there now.
Not strong enough, because what happens is they come in with new technology. We just caught them in Mobile, Alabama, called Autogate, and that means the trucks are coming in and they're already checked in somewhere else and not using the checkers in the ILA. Circumventing the contract. They don't care. They don't care. It's not fair. And if we don't put our foot down now, they would like to run over us, and we're not going to allow that.
You are going to grind the economy to a halt here on the East Coast and the Gulf Coast.
No, not us. They are. Don't spin it now, because you're Fox News.
Let me tell you something. This little Fox News reporter, she's got balls. I would never say that to this guy.
You'd be scared. I'd be scared.
Yeah, these are the guys who made Jimmy, what's his name, disappear.
Yeah, they literally kill people.
But are you worried? Are you worried that this
They have the
strike?
capital to settle this thing.
Are you worried that this strike is going to hurt the everyday American, the farmers that need to reach the export market? They're
Listen,
telling me that they're going to hurt through
Now
all
you
of this.
start to realize who the longshoremen are, right?
Nobody cares.
People never gave a about us until now, when they finally realized that the chain is being broke now. Cars won't come in. Food won't come in. Clothing won't come in. You know how many people depend on our jobs? Half the world. And it's time for them and time for Washington to put so much pressure on them to take care of us, because we took care of them. And we're here 135 years and brought them where they are today, and they don't want to share.
Fox Business' Lydia Hu joins us now from the port of
Let me
Newark.
tell you something else. I like Harry Daggett, Harold Daggett Jr.
Yeah.
He's also the kind of guy who goes missing. Harold, you got to tone it down a little bit. You're going to get us all in trouble. People are noticing us now. It's not great for us that you're a superstar.
Well, like I said to you, like, there's a possibility that these companies, like, they're going to be doing out math. Like, depending how long the longshoremen want to strike for, they could just automate in the meantime.
Could they? You think
Well,
Harry's boys are going to let that happen?
Say it takes, like, 6 months to get fully set up with automation, right? Like, if the longshoremen are going to strike for 3 months, how's the math work out? You might as well just automate and let them all figure it out.
Well, I mean,
we have some
you
of the
think-
least efficient ports in the world because a lot of these, like, Asian ports and stuff are fully automated.
yes. You think Harry Daggett's going to let... Who's installing that equipment? Not union members.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't want union members to install equipment either. So
Well, no, what I'm saying is union members ain't installing that equipment. You think the pipe fitters union's coming over to install that equipment against their brothers? You think they're going to be scabs?
I don't know. IT guys aren't generally.
Oh, yeah, but somebody's got to put in...
like
not
the
the
stuff.
IT
No,
guys-
I understand. I just think, like, it's
funny.
I think they're playing a little bit of a dangerous game because their jobs are not going to be necessary in the future 10 years from now.
Well, no.
One way or the other, they're not going to be. So if
and
you force the company's hands too close to the time, they'll
And
just
Harry Daggett
go
has
ahead
made
anyway.
Harry Daggett has made it very clear that a lot of the jobs they have now are not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing jobs with a machine in Mobile, Alabama right now. And he's like a third generation union member. And I think we saw in the video there's like another Daggett who's like the VP of something at the Longshoremen Union. These are like hereditary jobs.
Yes.
This is like their little fiefdom. And they feel that they and future generations of them are owed these jobs forever, no matter what.
You pay me $700,000 a year, I will talk about our jobs and my men on the line, and we're gonna cripple you. That said, he is the kind of guy. Oh, well, let me put it this way, Alice.
Mm-hmm.
He's the kind of guy who, if you're a DA and you want to, not a DA, no, if you're a U.S. attorney and you want to do a nice perp walk, that you'd bust this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he's known. At the same time, though, he's also probably the kind of guy who the feds would put on the payroll.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, he was being investigated, like he was on trial for RICO charges, but he was let off because the witnesses turned up
Ended
dead.
up in a trunk.
You know, you win some, you lose some as prosecutors. But I do think that, and I think it's interesting that he switched some of his language to saying like, oh, it's the companies that are doing this, not us.
Oh,
Somebody must have told him like, stop saying that you're going to shut down America. Because like you said, it's such bad optics, particularly for Democrats, particularly for Biden, who's president right now, and for Kamala by extension, that this is happening right now, and like that he's out here with this thuggery.
With this thuggery, not only that, but they get paid well.
Yeah.
He's asking for COVID money, and a caller brought this up today. This was I can't believe I didn't think of this. He's asking for COVID money for his men because they worked through the pandemic. Well, if they worked through the pandemic, then they made plenty of money. Like, they got paid through the pandemic.
Right.
The ports didn't shut down. He talked about that. So there you go. You got a special nod. But he's getting, I mean, this is just, it's so much like a politician, except with a politician, it's like, it's using issues as cudgels towards your opponents. Like, these guys are programmed not to leave 1 cent behind, no matter what. They just don't see like that. Like somebody who's been in the Senate for 30 years. They're gonna go low, and they're gonna like use every dirty trick always, and politicize every event, except for Democrats. This one might be a tough one because this is it lost. These are their guys, or Harry is their guy.
And their new coalition. This is the problem for Democrats. Is Democrats have always been the party of labor. But as we saw, like with the Teamsters, where the majority of the rank and file membership supports Trump, a lot of these longshoremen, I'm sure, support Trump.
Totally.
Just individually, of course they do. Why wouldn't they? And like the Democrats' new coalition, which is like these white suburbanites, they're not comfortable with this. They're not comfortable with, these are like tech people. These are knowledge workers. These are people that stayed home during the pandemic on the laptop class, right? Like, that's the new Democrat coalition. So they don't want guys like this shutting down the country when it's Kamala's time to be president. It's about Madam Time. And they look down on these guys and Harold Daggett and all this stuff. And they know the ports are eventually going to be automated. And they're all for that. Like, this is not the new party of the Democrats. Do you think the people that we know around here with about Madam Time signs have a lot of sympathy for the longshoremen who are going to be put out of work by machines going into the future?
No, absolutely not.
Like, do you think they care? Do you think they want the country shut down and the economy tanked and inflation to go up and stuff not to end up on the shelves at Christmas time so that Harold Daggett can make $900,000 and bop around on his yacht?
No.
Like, they have no patience for any of that. This is not the Democrats' new party.
Right.
This is not like, that's why they're playing kind of this dangerous game, because they're a little bit politically homeless right now.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And like, I mean, like you said the other day, it would not shock me if Trump ends up supporting them, depending how like the politics of this shake out. If Trump supports them, the people around here will be against them in like a second. I don't know. I mean, like, I just think, and there is some evidence that like a lot of these people won't be put out of work by automation, that there's more good and better jobs
with automation.
if you automate stuff.
By the way, it is only a matter of time before the IT guys do unionize.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are like socialists anyway, and they also have. I'm surprised that maybe that's why a lot of companies try to keep just one around, because the IT guys are uniquely knowledgeable about a core critical part of a business.
And they're also some of the most annoying people in the company.
Because they are. Because they're mad that you don't know.
Don't notice that I said that, Tommy, in New Hampshire.
Well, right. We're surrounded by IT guys and our families as well, to some degree or another. All right. Issue number 2. Not much that I can say about this, but Iran bombed the hell out of Israel with ballistic missiles today. At first, when I was watching live, it seemed like a whole bunch of these things were landing. I'm told now that those were just pieces of the ones that were shot down. But
Israel was shooting a lot of stuff down, and they let stuff hit, I think, unimportant stuff. But,
right.
I mean, like, they had everybody in bomb shelters in Israel. It was basically, like, a huge shelter alert through. This was a really, really big attack. And just because Israel is really, really good at shooting stuff down doesn't mean that it's not a really big attack. And, like, Iran clearly wanted to do damage. It's seeming like maybe they didn't do too much damage. I do think that this is extremely escalatory, and it's going to continue because the Biden administration doesn't step in. And Joe and Kamala having the policy of just saying don't to Iran
right.
is not going to cut it.
What's the message to Iran?
Don't.
As President Biden said, just don't.
Exactly. One word. Pretty straightforward.
And I think I sent us the Biden one with him saying it.
To Hezbollah and its backer, Iran. Don't.
And here's Kamala a little bit ago with Rachel Maddow in 2019.
He's tweeting out, this bravado about, lock and loaded. What does that mean? Okay, and also...
Well, it's an implicit military threat that the U.S. is going to use. We're going to use U.S. force.
Yes, it is. And again, listen, as far as I'm concerned, this president is motivated by his personal insecurities more than he is our national security. If this president is thinking about putting us in a position where we're in a war with Iran, the consequences will be absolutely unacceptable and tragic in terms of the young men and women who are American soldiers who would be sent and deployed into something that was completely avoidable.
So, and obviously this is kind of hilarious. Of
course.
Is happening. And this is Kamala. This is the real thing.
I mean, it's not hilarious
Today,
that they're actually causing a war with Iran.
She was austere. She was dressed well. She looked serious. And listen to this. This is her statement on the attacks. This is freaking terrible.
I'm clear-eyed. Iran.
That is such a favorite of the communications office of this White House. Say you're clear-eyed. You're going to be clear-eyed, right? I'm clear-eyed. I'm clear-eyed.
I'm clear-eyed. Iran is a destabilizing, dangerous force in the Middle East, and today's attack on Israel only further demonstrates that fact. Earlier today, I was in the Situation Room with President Biden and our national security team as we monitored the attack in real time and ensured that the protection of U.S. personnel in the region is paramount. I fully support President Biden's order.
She sounds like a phone tree.
Yeah.
The options when you call the DMV.
Right.
And then you get the music, and then you get the voice, and you think for a second, oh, is that a real person? Are they back? And no, it's not.
Well, she doesn't know how to do this, like, serious act.
No, Obama would nail this. I'm sorry. He absolutely would nail this. He'd make sound like he wasn't reading off a teleprompter.
For the U.S. military to shoot down Iranian missiles.
The way to do this is not to go out and read a freaking statement. The way to do this is speak off the cuff with a few choice words that you're going to get into.
So that you sound like you know what you're talking about and you know what's going on.
Or the few choice words that you're going to get into the news cycle, and then you take a couple of questions.
Of course, she can't do that because she can't speak unscripted about Iran and Israel or about anything really, but especially about serious topics and complex topics like that. They can't let her go off the cuff with that.
Israel, just as we did in April. We are still assessing the impact, but initial indications are that Israel, with our assistance, was able to defeat this attack. Our joint defenses have been effective, and this operation and successful cooperation saved many innocent lives. As I have said, I will always ensure Israel has the ability to
And this is unlike her. I don't understand why this is so bad. She also appears to be...
Well, because she's good.
She also appears to be reading off the page.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, this is such a dry, stilted reading.
But she's good at, like, the warm Oprah type of delivery. Drew Barrymore. She can do that. She can do Mindy Kaling cooking videos. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff she's good at.
She had no problem with Blue Steel towards Kavanaugh, but maybe...
Yeah, but that was about mean men raping women.
Well, isn't this about something bad happening?
No, but she doesn't understand this issue.
Oh, I see.
Defend itself against Iran and Iran-backed terrorist militias. My commitment to the security of Israel is unwavering. And let us be clear, Iran is not only a threat to Israel, Iran is also a threat to American personnel in the region, American interests.
I also think that KJP must have written this. Let us be clear. So we're clear-eyed, and now we're being clear. Iran is a threat to Israel. You think? What is it? Is it the ballistic missiles that tell you that?
Yeah.
What is, like...
I mean, yeah, we know they've been funding Hezbollah and Hamas and all these things, but if that wasn't enough for you, now they're literally bombing them.
Right. So, I mean, it's such a stale statement that Iran is a threat to... We all see what's happening. We know Iran is a threat to Israel. Everybody here, except for the voting base that you're trying to get in Michigan, thinks Iran sucks.
Right.
And it has since our guy, the Shah, has been gone.
Well, and by the way, Iran is also actively trying to assassinate one of our presidential candidates,
right.
Specifically Donald Trump. So it's interesting to me that all these people who, you know, like, it's not really about policies. It's about, this is a serious principled stance about threats to our democracy and Russian influence on our elections and all this jazz. They're like not concerned that a foreign nation is trying to assassinate one of the presidential candidates in an American election. That's not election interference. Russians buying some Facebook ads, that's election interference. And that proves that Trump is Putin's puppet. But if
we, by the way, eased some sanctions on these people a few months ago.
Right. This is the pallets of cash country. This is the place that...
This is to let them sell their oil.
Right, and let them develop nuclear weapons. By the way, who thinks these people should have nuclear weapons?
Right.
And innocent civilians across the region who suffer at the hands of Iran-based and backed terrorist proxies. We will never hesitate to take whatever action is necessary to defend U.S. forces and interests against Iran and Iran-backed
And I wonder if she's reading from the page because the teleprompter is broken or because she's trying to pretend she's doing this off the cuff. But it doesn't work. She also had...
Antony Blinken, by the way, published an op-ed today
I saw it.
Before this attack happened, talking about what a great job the Biden administration has done containing Iran.
Freaking amazing, isn't it? Amazing. It's like Jake Sullivan last year at this time.
The Iranian attacks against U.S. forces have stopped. Our presence in Iraq is stable. I emphasize for now because all of that can change. And the Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades.
That was right before October 7th, yes.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I mean, these are like the most incompetent people on the planet, and they somehow think that we should keep going with their administration and not go back to Trump when everything was totally fine in the Middle East. Mick in the chat says maybe she can threaten Iran about her being raised in a middle-class household.
Right, yeah.
And Julianville say, silly Iran, don't they realize Kamala will not be burdened by what has been?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's an unserious person, and that works for, like, some topics. Like, I mean, it doesn't work, like, in terms of policy for some topics, but it works in terms of you can kind of, like, sell an economics message being like, I totally understand. I love small business owner. But it's really tough to do that with foreign affairs.
And by the way, they had a photo spray today at a FEMA meeting she was at, and the reporters shouted a whole bunch of questions. She took none. She just stood there with a straight face and waited for them to be ushered out of the room, the reporters. It is amazing that a presidential candidate who is the sitting vice president is not being made to answer questions by the press when real world issues are happening. The ports are closed and Israel is at war in the Middle East and Americans have been captured and killed there as well as part of this whole campaign. And she won't say a thing. We will look back at this and say, this was freaking unbelievable.
And our fellow citizens might actually elect her to be president for the next 4 years.
Right. 5 years from now, there'll be an article in the Atlantic saying, looking back, was Kamala historically, too inept to talk to the press? And should we have done more? Like, it's amazing this person is doing this. It's such a dereliction of duty. Meanwhile, Joe Biden, is freaking catatonic.
Well, and where's our little buddy Tim Walz, who even the media has started to notice is never available to talk to the press anymore. Right. So he and J.D. Vance are going to debate tonight. If you're listening to this tomorrow, obviously they already will have. But the the Harris-Walz campaign has started to put out sort of like pre-debate, like, he's just not a really good debater like J.D. Vance is at Yale. He's like Mr. Down-home, folksy, not a debater. So that means they're worried about what's going to happen tonight, for sure.
I think that's bull. I think they're just leaking that because Walz is going to do just fine.
Well, they're going to manage expectations.
Walz is going to do just fine. What I think is different is that Vance is going to be even smarter than his debate prep. He's a guy, I feel, who on his feet is probably the sharpest politician in the country at the moment. And so that's going to be tough for Walz. And Vance should and will know to tie Walz to all of this that's happening. All of this that's happening. Everything. Okay, so I think that's what I have to say for that. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm really excited for it tonight.
Okay. Yes, am I. Okay, so now...
I don't know that it matters that much, but I'm excited for it. It'll feel good to me. So
that's true. I agree. It will. Well, but it could matter in a sense because, I mean, this is assuming there is a media here. But what could happen here is because Kamala has no positions, policy positions, he could put Walz in an island because Walz doesn't know what her positions are. So then Walz could go to these broad sloganeering things and Vance can call him on it every time he does it.
Right.
You don't have anything to say on this because she has nothing to say in this because she doesn't know what she's doing. She's just simply trying to do whatever she can to get elected. She's nothing. And as a matter of fact, you're nothing. I think that he can. And then in the Sunday shows, of course, then you'd have to rush the Democrats in. And then maybe that would mean, this is best case scenario, that Walz would have to show up for some stuff. And then, like what's not going to work? Him saying, mind your own damn business is not going to work. There's no crowd tonight.
Right.
It's just going to be a guy who's much like a guy I met in 1994 at Sporter's Bar, acting odd. That's it. Okay, now for the really most bizarre part of the day.
We talked yesterday. We did not cover any of the teachers' emails back to us yesterday. So as you all know about Postergate, we had been going back and forth about this whole thing, and I had emailed.
So remember, James running for head of the student council, president of student council. They are required to do a poster. He does a poster with some cute like gaming stuff, like shout outs, call
Right.
outs.
And so we had emailed, they sent him home with it and
Yes,
said
they
it was
said-
unacceptable and had 3 different adults talk to him without communicating with us at
Right,
all and
which
sent the
upset
poster
him.
home.
And then he came home with it, and we looked at the guidelines, and he had not broken any of the guidelines.
So we emailed and said we're confused. He'll make a new poster, but we don't understand what's wrong, and we thought this was supposed to show his personality and his individuality, which it does. And so they emailed and told us, I'm sorry James is feeling upset about what happened with his poster. We only had good intentions for James today and tried to advise and support him on his poster.
Advise, support.
When James was putting
You know what support sounds like? Nice
What?
poster. That's support. Support is not take that home, do it again. This is not your best work. This is the serious.
When James brought the poster to me to hang in the hall, he looked either embarrassed or upset. At first, I thought someone had drawn on his picture, and I asked him about it. He definitely seemed embarrassed to show me.
Now, hold on. I want to say, because they haven't heard this yet.
Mhm.
Our son James is very bashful. Very bashful.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure if a teacher came up and started questioning him about his poster, he would definitely be super shy.
He would be super shy just putting it up in front of people. He's a
Right.
bashful guy when it comes to that stuff. If he goes and eats at a neighbor's house, like if he's returning the dish to the sink, whatever, he'll be shy about it. I understand because I was the same way. I still am, as a matter of fact, the same way. That's just his nature. It's not because we're beating him and force-feeding him bad poster copy. It's just how he is. He's a sweet guy. He's a nice guy. And he's shy and bashful around adults, especially adults, judging him.
I asked this other teacher to follow up with James about the poster because it didn't seem to be his best work. The role of class president includes setting an example for others.
Can I stop you again? How has James's historically his poster work been?
They have seen none of his poster work.
Correct, because he doesn't have any poster work. That is his best poster work because he decided not to make a graphic design friendly poster that once again the wine moms would do for their kids. He did one that he liked. It was quirky. It was different.
Right. Poking fun at oneself or others is not encouraged at school.
Okay, so there we go right again. It's not encouraged. We don't do humor.
Fun is not encouraged at
no.
school.
You don't poke fun at yourself in the school. Even though it shows a more sophisticated,
like self-effacing humor.
yes, even though it shows a sophistication, like if you can poke fun of yourself, and you're not doing it like Snuffleupagus, everything sucks. No, he's making fun of himself, and he feels comfortable doing it because his self-esteem is intact.
Because we haven't previously exposed him to a bunch of nagging harpies who tell him that he's doing everything wrong.
Well, right. And also, he comes from a house where he's not riddled up in tweaking constantly because we scare him about climate change and the fact that he's going to get shot in a movie theater or that Donald Trump is going to destroy him. He doesn't have any of those problems.
Right.
He doesn't think he doesn't have anxiety. There's every one of the schools in our school system has a dog. His school has a dog too. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need the dog. Okay.
That being said, our conversation was calm, not accusatory, and definitely not a lecture. Yeah, because when a bunch of teachers tell you there's something wrong with your poster,
you can do better than this. We don't like the fact that you're making fun of yourself or others. Is that happening here somewhere?
We did not tell him.
Because we see the word. What's the word he used? The skibbity word.
He said sigma.
He
said
the word
you're
sigma.
about.
Sigma could mean
It's like saying you're
bad.
cool. It's like saying you're.
But
good.
they don't know.
Right. We did not tell James he had to redo the poster. However, I did encourage him to rewrite the text because it was hard to read. We just wanted to give him another opportunity to reconsider how he presents himself to the school.
We didn't ask him, and it reminds me of that first line there where she offsets it. We gave him guidance or criticized. What was the first line?
We tried to advise and support him on his poster.
Yes, we tried to advise him and support him. We did not tell him to rewrite to redo his poster. We just told him to redo his poster.
We just told him it wasn't his best work. We couldn't read it. And then the next part is they offered him a new poster board and all of the supplies we had available at school, rulers, lettering, markers, etc.
We just told him that we didn't like the graphic that he used that showed a mustache on him, and we didn't like the copy that he chose. Other than the graphics and the copy, we were fine with the poster.
Yeah.
We didn't tell him to rewrite it. We just told him those things.
It's not a strict rule, but we encourage those who run for office to maintain a positive attitude, both about themselves and about their role.
If it's not a strict rule, then why isn't that poster hanging in the school right now?
We want them to be the best they can be. James is such a bright student and a good kid, and we're sorry he feels discouraged. We will reiterate to him tomorrow he didn't break any rules and that we're proud of him for running.
Why not just take the poster he made? It's his creative product. He liked it. He thought it was funny and cool and different. And that should be cultivated. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's good that he's not like all the other Ritalin-laden, mouth-breathing, anxiety-filled kids that you have that constantly need Mingo the service dog from Kansas. That's good. Mingo's plate is full.
So I thanked her for her response. I said, basically we said he's a shy person. I'm sure he did feel embarrassed being put on the
you gotta
spot
read
about
this
the
too,
poster.
because this is good, because this was well thought out by Alice. Go ahead.
I'm sure he did feel embarrassed to be put on the spot about the poster, which we understood based on the directions to be an exercise in showing his personality. James is a quirky and unique person, and he has his own tastes and humor. I am sure that his poster did not look like the other posters. Tom and I both feel it is important to encourage his individual voice and cheeky, self-effacing humor. Because he is shy and quiet, we think it's especially important to encourage him to come out of his shell and show himself more. We thought that the whole enterprise of running for student council president showed a great and positive side of himself, and we were eager not to micromanage his personal creativity into what we as adults felt was more appropriate. We are not running for student council president. He is. We are strong believers that kids should be able to...
That's a shot. That's telling them that they're not running either. It's him.
Yeah.
Write more like us.
We are strong believers that kids should be able to show up at school as their whole selves, including with a sense of humor if they have one, and that these moments are opportunities for adults to encourage and affirm them as they grow into themselves.
Affirm them. There you go, Alice.
I don't think there's any need to discuss it further or give him more feedback about it at school. We read him your email, and he understands that he did not do anything wrong or break any rules.
Okay, and then we got a response, a fairly terse response, saying, okay.
Right, she said, good morning, thank you for the follow-up and helping clarify the situation with James. Have a good day.
Okay, by the way, I want the record to show here, there's no situation with James. There's a situation with you and the other members of the tribunal. That's the situation.
You have a
You asked him to do a poster.
That you've created.
Yes, you asked him to do a poster. He did a poster. You don't like the poster. That's the situation. There's no situation. And as if somehow this gets weirder. And now we are so far in, I'm like tripping on Acidville where we are with
the record show, I do sometimes have problems with the school district. I did not set out to have a fight with the school district this week.
No.
I did not, I'm not trying to cause trouble or be in a fight or anything.
We have not done a big speech reading from my son is a demisexual books to the Board of Ed. We have not done that.
Yeah.
But this gets weirder. So I don't even know. This is so bizarre to me that I need to step away from it. I need to take a week from it. A week away.
So he came home off the bus today, and he told us that some of his friends had asked him what happened. Because obviously his poster for class president got taken down and returned to him. And he doesn't have one now, which is weird. He's the only kid running for anything in the student government that doesn't have a poster. And he's the only one running for president. So it's weird, right? So he had talked to a couple friends about it at recess. And he said that these adults at the school told him that he's not allowed to talk to anyone about it.
Once again, say that again, Elsa.
The adults at the school told him that he is not allowed to talk to anybody about what happened.
The free speech rules have been changed. During recess now, there is one rule during recess.
Mm-hmm.
That rule is a very specific rule. There was one rule during recess for everybody in the school. That rule is no fighting, no horseplay, no bullying, and James Shattuck is not allowed to talk about his poster on the playground during recess. That is it. He has been silenced. He can't. We've made a new rule. Yep. First of all, we didn't like the content of your poster. We don't like the visuals of your poster. Mm-hmm. We don't like the way you're talking on the playground. We are now forbidding free speech at recess. You are
it's not like he was bullying someone or causing trouble or anything like that. He just told people what happened.
Right. He's told his boys what happened.
Which isn't a problem. If somebody's in trouble for something that they actually did something wrong, then there's never a problem with telling people. If you get suspended from school and your friends go, "Oh, why were you suspended?" And you're like, "Well, I punched another kid in the face, so I was suspended for 2 days," right? Like, the school's not like, you can't tell people that.
Yeah, but once
because
again,
you punched somebody in the face. So it's like, but that to me reveals that they know that they had no reason to take down and send home his poster other than that they just didn't like it.
Well, right. And they feel, then there's two things that they're doing. They're enforcing it as people, as authority members of the school, authority figures in the school. Mm-hmm. They're enforcing it directly to him.
Right.
And they're trying to do it in a way where it doesn't reach us. So they are...
Right. They didn't reach out to us and send us an email and say, James was causing trouble about this at school today, and we really appreciate it if you would let him know that we don't want to escalate this further at school. They didn't reach out to us and tell us he was talking about it and to ask him to stop.
Right. They also didn't reach out to us to say that we sent his poster home.
No.
They just did it. Made him. They hoped that it wouldn't filter up to us. And now with this, with curbing his free speech rights on the playground,
right,
is freaking incredible. And once again, they did it just to him. Had they sent us an email saying, "By the way, we asked today, since this has been a little embarrassing," they didn't at all.
No,
they didn't. So now we have new information that they told him he's not allowed to talk about his poster. Fuck you. That's amazing. That is amazing to me. Not allowed to talk about the book. What is it? He's freaking fascists? We have a new rule. You can't talk about it. They told him, by the way, the issue was settled. Was it settled?
Right. They said that we're not going to talk about it. You can't talk about it on the playground because the issue's been resolved. That's what he told us.
The issue is not resolved.
First of all, there was no issue.
Right. They have an issue.
He didn't do anything wrong at all. So there shouldn't be an issue to start with. They should have just let him put up the poster.
Totally. The issue. Jesus. If you're going to solicit a piece of creative
work, this poster
media,
should reflect who you are.
Right. This is who he thinks his best foot forward is to try to run for that office. Mm-hmm. That's it. And suddenly they're changing the rules of the game because it tells me, by the way, where priorities are.
Mm-hmm. By the way, and, I was talking to someone else about this who raised a good point. When they had him have all these conversations with adults, did they pull him out of, instructional time to talk to him about all this yesterday?
Who knows? Yeah.
Were they taking him out of class to, have a problem with his poster?
Well, yeah. And also, but, what does it mean that you're the only one in the playground who's
not allowed to talk about what happened at school today?
Who's on notice?
Mm-hmm.
So, they said, you can't talk about it. So that's a rule now. So now he's on notice. He can't talk about his poster.
Last time I checked, this was America. You can talk about whatever.
We did not go looking for a poster problem.
No,
we did not want to have the poster.
We just let our kid make a poster and take it to school. They asked him to make a poster. On pretty short notice, by the way, too.
Yes. We did not want to have the poster child for why the school sucked. But here we are. So now he's going to go to school tomorrow with the poster. We have told him that anything he wants to do creative within the guidelines that they gave, he can do.
Yeah.
And he's going to school. If he wants to go to school with the same poster, he can go right ahead.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me. We're not, by the way, we don't encourage, he didn't do anything even political on this poster. He did game.
Right. So that's what somebody else said to me. They were like, when you said that the school had a problem with your kid's poster and there was a big controversy about it, I thought it was going to be Trumpy or something that it said was going to have said make the school great again, right. Or but there's literally nothing controversial or bad or negative on the entire poster.
Which, by the way, would also be fine.
Yeah, it would also be fine.
But he's not doing that. It's not that,
Well, right, because if he did a Barack Obama Hope poster with his face in red, white, and blue, like, nobody would be upset about that. He talked about doing
original ideas.
Yeah, they would have been fine with that. I mean, somebody in the chat says if the background was a rainbow flag, there would have been no problem. Of course, there wouldn't have been a problem.
Right.
Duh.
Had the background been a rainbow flag, and had he had any intersectional points, then there would be no problem. But he is him, and you're not allowed to. They don't get his humor. I think that's on them. I think they probably aren't very funny people. You can tell by the note they wrote. I think the note was rude. I think it was inappropriate. I think that they're pushing back. They're saying essentially, we own the kids in this school.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to teach them values, which obviously are different than Tom and Alice's values.
Right.
And while we have them here, even though you okayed the poster for your house, when we have them here,
this is not an acceptable poster.
This is our kid while he's here.
Mm-hmm.
And not yours. And we're going to give him different values.
Right. So, I mean, what's the next step here? I'm fine with sending back.
The next step is they're going to quietly tell him to not tell us things.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. He's not a discipline problem. He's a nice kid.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's why they thought they saw, he's a nice one. We don't want to lose a nice one.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they just Googled us. All right, Alice. What is the hot sauce?
Chelsea Fire Wicked Hot Sauce. They bring us the Chelsea Fire Wicked Hotline chat, where you can go to birdbarrelpodcast.com and leave a message for the show.
Sorry for my wet hacking cough.
It's been contentious on the chat.
I know.
Lately.
Hi, Steve from Gloucester.
What?
As many of you know, I used to run an ice cream stand that went belly up.
What?
So in addition to having the most disgusting voice on the chat, while I'm speaking to you, sir, I'm also drooling in the leftover vanilla.
This is vicious. Wow, I don't think that's really Steve from Gloucester. I think that's Steve from Merrimack, by the way.
Many of you know I have a child. It's a mystery to me how it happened since I've never actually had sex with a woman.
Wait a second. Now, hold on. Now, I'm going to stop that short.
Hey, Tom, how you doing? I'd be remiss if I didn't share this story with you before I walk away for good. But the other day, I saw that arrogant nitwit, Steve from Merrimack, walking down the street with that Kerry from Waltham or Woburn or...
It's Kerry from Winchester's
Winthrop,
husband.
I don't know, whatever. The guy's useless. And they were both wearing MAGA shirts. But instead of those shirts saying, Make America Great Again, they said, Make America Gay Again.
Wow.
And I was taken aback because I thought that Kerry from Winthrop guy or whatever, the guy's useless. He's a sideshow to the story. I didn't think he went that way. But, of course, I knew that the Freddie Mercury fan and the closet fruit.
Okay. So I think we're seeing a theme here. And where are you on this tenor, Alice?
I don't like anybody to be mean to each other, really.
And you know what the thing is that these two guys would get along famously. Don't you think so?
I don't know.
You haven't met Steve from Gloucester in person?
No.
Great guy. They would get along famously. So I'm going to move to another message.
Okay.
Do you agree with me?
I agree. Right. I think we need to tone down the rhetoric on the chat before somebody gets hurt.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Did anybody else pay attention to what John Kerry said the other day at some World Economic Forum, where he was basically coming out against the First Amendment?
Yes, I heard
of the United States Constitution.
Yeah.
And if it's not just him, but the cognoscenti like him think that's a good idea, it's scary as hell. It reminds me, I'll paraphrase what he said about the Ted Williams tunnel. In this case, it would be, getting rid of the First Amendment will be a bargain.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, man. What a what a strutting ass that man is.
Totally.
Thank you.
Totally, Steve. He is such an arrogant prick, and he's one of these total midwits that puts on this effete attitude. But what the things he said are obnoxious and dumb. He's an a-hole who's rich enough to believe that he did something to intellectually and professionally to earn his place in the world, where he didn't. He's just a dumbass.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Thanks for leaving chat messages, even though we cut it off a little bit today. Go
We're
enjoy
gonna try to bring the peace.
Yeah, we're gonna try and have peace. Tommy in New Hampshire said I am mean to the IT guys, but you know. So it's because I know too many of them, Tommy. That's the problem. Anyway, thank you for leaving messages. We will see you tomorrow with all the updates from the debate. We look forward to hearing from you. BurnBarrelPodcast.com.
C'est la vie.